Here's the truth. If you don't have an executive assistant, you are the executive assistant. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire Podcast, helping law firm owners grow their businesses and their wealth. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. So let me ask you a question. How much time did you spend last week in your inbox? How many hours went to scheduling, chasing down clients, or managing vendors? For most lawyers, it's far too much. And all of that time is costing you money, growth, and freedom. Today, we're diving into the replacement ladder from Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time and why your first hire should be your executive assistant.
We are on a mission to help lawyers and law firm owners maximize wealth and achieve financial independence. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire with Darren Wurz from Wurz Financial Services.
If you don't have an executive assistant, you are the executive assistant. And that's probably not what you set out to be, right? And it's costing you. It's costing you thousands every single week. So if you're a law firm owner, you're probably familiar with this scenario, right? Buried under admin tasks, emails, endless follow-ups. If that's you, I'm glad you're here, my friend, because this episode is for you. So tune in, listen up, because I'm going to share some really great tips and strategies for you from this amazing book, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, which I have right here. By the way, we're reading this right now in the book club, in the Lawyer Millionaire book club. And if you're not a member of the Lawyer Millionaire book club, you need to be, because we're reading such amazing books like this one. And so it's a great opportunity for you to learn some great stuff that's going to help you grow your business, become more profitable, and ultimately grow your wealth, which is why we're all here, right? And not only that, you're going to get to meet and interact with some really cool, amazing, successful, ambitious law firm owners from across the country. We have over 100 members in the group, so you really, 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 really want to get in on this. Okay, but let's get into it, right? This is episode 2 in our 4-part series on this book, Buy Back Your Time. Oh, and one more thing. By the way, our next book club discussion is coming up on September 19th. That's a Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So it's not too late. You can pick up a copy of the book. If you've already read it, maybe it's a great time to read through it again. Just join the community and you'll get an invite to our live Zoom discussion. And that is where all the action happens. That's where the fun really is, folks. So I hope you can join us, friend. Please join us. community.lawyermillionaire.com. Okay, let's talk about it. The executive assistant. You know, I get so much pushback from lawyers about hiring an executive assistant. It's amazing. What can an executive assistant really do for me, right? In somebody virtual, I don't know about that, right? I need to have somebody on site. I mean, what can they really do? Let's be real. I don't really need an executive assistant. There's not much for them to do. I hear this all the time. Maybe you have said this yourself, or maybe you said this, before you actually hired an executive assistant and saw the light. I initially thought this myself. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I've been trying to get my brother, Travis, to hire an executive assistant himself. He did bring on a support person who's been helping him a lot. But I haven't been able to get him to understand the power of delegating your emails, your inbox, and your calendar, folks. It's so super powerful. And I'm going to tell you why. So, I had the same hesitation, but actually Dan's book, Buy Back Your Time, was one of the original inspirations for me in terms of growing my business and how to grow my business. This is the big question. The big question, how do I hire? Who do I hire? In what order do I hire? I know I need help. But how do I go about it? Just hire a lawyer, right? Is that the next step? Once I'm maxed out? No. And I'll tell you why, right? But this is a question. In fact, we had this question in our networking group. We opened up the floor. We said, hey, what's a challenge that you're facing in your law firm right now? What are you really confused about, struggling with, do you need help with? And it was hiring. And somebody piped up and they said, you know what? I'm really struggling with knowing who to hire next and how to go about that process. And then all of a sudden, all kinds of other people started chiming in and saying, I'm having the same issue. I don't know what the process looks like, in what order I need help and how to go about it. So are you there too, my friend? Well, it's okay. It's okay. I've got you. Okay, so my first hire was my executive assistant, Kiana. And let me tell you, she is phenomenal. She is fantastic. I followed Dan's advice. I followed his advice to the T, and I hired her. I had her start managing my inbox, my emails. It's a little bit rough at first, right? But I follow the inbox zero method, and I created a system of folders, actually used Dan's methodology for organizing your inbox, and I had Kiana do it. I created playbooks, on how to do it, and then I had her take over and start doing it. And, it was hard to let go. It was really, really hard to let go. I still found myself checking my emails throughout the day. I still found myself scrolling, through my inbox randomly, or at night before bed, or early in the morning when I would get up. First thing up, I'm looking through my emails. Are you doing that too? Are you doing that where you wake up and the first thing you do is grab your phone and look at your emails? It's a disease. It's a problem. It's an epidemic. It should not be that way. And there's so many reasons why. We don't need to get into all of those reasons, but I mean, just from a mental health standpoint and a stress management standpoint, you will burn yourself out. You will put yourself at risk of cardiovascular disease and all kinds of other things, folks. You've got to get somebody else to handle your inbox. And it took me a long time to really let go of that, and then have Kiana start doing more things for me, like managing my calendar and all kinds of things like that. And yes, I use software. I use AI software for my calendar and my emails and everything, but all of that just makes my executive assistant that much better and faster. Now, let me tell you something. Kiana was so amazingly good that I actually promoted her to being my marketing lead. And so now she's doing more marketing stuff for me. And I had her delegate my inbox to a new executive assistant, and her name is Courtney. And Courtney is fantastic also, because you know what? Courtney's really focused on just working on my stuff and helping me. And I have her check my inbox twice a day, morning and afternoon. You know what? Some days I don't even look at my emails. Some days I don't have time to even read my emails. It might be 2-3 days before I finally get into my inbox. And so Courtney is able to get in there, triage my emails, send it to the team member who can handle it fast, or handle it herself, or even if she can't handle it, she can let somebody know instantly, hey, Darren, I just wanted to pop in here fast. I thought you'd appreciate a quick reply. We've received your email. Darren will get back to you shortly. Right? And that's so incredibly powerful for clients and prospects and everybody. It just raises the client service level to a whole new level. So, how do you do this? Right? My fears, I had some other fears too. Let me tell you about my other fears. My other fears were fears around privacy and confidentiality. Maybe you have the same fears. Maybe you deal with sensitive client matters. We deal with sensitive client matters. I have access to client social security numbers and all their financial information and a lot of personally identifiable information. So we are in a very, 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 very highly regulated industry. And privacy, security, confidentiality is paramount. But you know what? I had to get over that, because at some point my clients trusted me with their information, and I needed to be able to trust somebody. I needed to be able to trust, and that's a big step. That's a big hurdle. But you know what? You can get over that hurdle. You're gonna have to trust anybody that comes into your team. And sure, anybody could, be a con artist. Yes. But there's ways to manage that. You do a background check. You have, all kinds of due diligence that you go through. You have your employee sign a privacy agreement, a confidentiality agreement, all kinds of things to protect your client's information and protect your business. And that protects you. And use a lawyer to help you draft those, by the way. Okay. But those fears are common. They're there for anybody who hires. And it doesn't matter who you're hiring. And it doesn't matter, it could be somebody, the crooks are not always, the people we expect them to be. I mean, Bernie Madoff was very, 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 very trusted by so many people and very prestigious, right? But he ended up being one of the worst crooks of all, right? So you got to get over that fear, folks. Let me tell you the result of following Dan's advice and buying back my time and hiring folks in my business. We doubled our revenue in 1 year. I kid you not. We doubled our revenue in 1 year. That's crazy. And it wasn't because I hired more planners or, high level people. I hired support staff that allowed me to really, really expand. Most of us, though, we struggle with giving up control. And maybe you do too. It's a common tension, right? Another thing that we struggle with is we struggle with this equation of busy and productive. Busy does not equal productive, my friend. Sometimes we like feeling busy because, if we feel like we're getting a lot done and we're being very productive. But you know what? Busyness for busyness' sake can kill growth. It's the same thing with sales. Sometimes with sales, you feel great because you're having all these meetings. And you're doing all these things and all this marketing activity. And activity is good. You need activity. Don't get me wrong. But if it's not actually being productive, then you have a problem. This is so critical. Buying back your time, hiring that executive assistant, and we'll talk about what the replacement ladder is here in a second. This is so, so important. If you are doing admin tasks still in your business, you're stealing time. And maybe you have an executive assistant, but you still are finding yourself going back into, that mode of checking your emails and taking over tasks, right? You've got to delegate stuff. You got to delegate the whole thing, delegate the outcomes, give it up, right? You're stealing time from client work, from your firm growth, and even your personal life. Every hour wasted on low value work is billable time or business development time that's lost. And there's a few things that are really, really at stake. The first is burnout. If you're trying to do it all, you're eventually going to hit a wall. You're going to hit what Dan calls the pain line. And the pain line is the point at which we don't want to grow anymore because growth is painful. And actually, we start sabotaging our business. Even if we don't realize it, we start sabotaging our business. We might do it subconsciously, right? The second thing that's at stake is hitting a growth ceiling. As I say, you burn out, you start sabotaging, you hit a growth ceiling. And without leveraging your time, the firm will not be able to scale beyond your personal capacity. It just won't. In fact, you will start just experiencing more pain as a result of growth. And the third thing is missed opportunities. The competitor who has the support in place is going to outpace you. And if you're not growing, you're dying. That's just the truth. So that's why we're talking today about the replacement ladder and why your very first step should be hiring an executive assistant. Okay, what is the replacement ladder? Okay, so there are 5 stages in Dan's replacement ladder in his framework. The first stage is admin. This is low-value, time-consuming tasks like emails, inbox, very, very basic client service things, very basic marketing things, administrative tasks, stuff that it doesn't really require specialized knowledge to do, but maybe it's a little bit time-consuming to do it. Okay, that's the stuff you offload first. If you're there, if you're doing that stuff, you are in that first rung of the ladder. We've got to get you out. We've got to elevate you to the next level. And the next level, so that's the first thing to offload is the admin work. The second rung of the ladder is client delivery. Client delivery is the actual legal work. Ooh, this is tough. This is so hard for law firm owners to delegate, but you've got to do it. You will never grow your business as an asset if you are stuck in rung 2 of the ladder, which is client delivery. Because you have only a limited amount of time. And so in order to multiply yourself and clone yourself, you've got to start delegating legal work. Now, some of that can be delegated very easily to paralegals, but then you really need to start delegating the more complex legal work to associates and maybe to partners. You've got to start doing it and stop telling yourself the lie that only you can do it, that no one can do it like you, right? And that no one can do it as fast as you. You've got to get over that, folks. One of our clients told us this the other day. She's fantastic at the work she does. In fact, she's so good. Her clients love her so much. She has no need for new clients, right? The clients just come to her and she has to turn work away. But she's very, very adamant about taking off Fridays. And so But she really wants to be involved in client work. And so it's been very difficult for her to get out of the client work because she wants to grow her business in other ways and maybe start other businesses too. And so what she started doing is co-counseling with other lawyers on different tasks. And a client wanted to meet on a Friday, and she was, very adamant that she doesn't work on Fridays. And so she had to allow this other lawyer to lead the meeting. And it went great. It went so well, in fact, that the other lawyer said, "You know what? Do you just want me to run point on this from this point forward?" And what an amazing relief to be able to say, "You know what? You take over and you handle this client matter." And she said she was so amazingly relieved. It is doable. It is possible for you. Even if you are the best at what you do, there's a way for you to teach someone else. You've got to put your teacher hat on. You've got to learn how to teach others to do stuff just like you. Okay? All right, the third rung of the ladder is sales. Okay, so once you've got client delivery off of your plate, you can then elevate further into the sales role. You're probably already doing some sales, but once you get the client delivery off of your plate, then you can really focus on sales. And then you can start to delegate sales. So delegating sales means that you're bringing in intake specialists or business development roles. I see a lot of lawyers where this is the first thing that they delegate, and I think that's a mistake. Because no one is ever going to be a better salesperson than you for your business. No one. You're the biggest cheerleader. You're the biggest evangelist for your law practice. And no one can do it quite like you, so it's a mistake to offload that completely at the beginning. Offload more of the admin and client delivery work first, then you can really focus on the sales, and then you can start to offload the sales, and you can start to teach and train others your method of sales. Okay? The fourth step of the ladder is marketing. And this is more than just posting on social media. This is the big picture thinking stuff, the evangelist stuff, the getting out there and speaking and publicly proclaiming the message of your law practice, the building of your network, right? It's the content creation. It's a lot more. Okay. And that's like big picture marketing, the marketing direction, right? That's step 4 of the ladder. You're going to offload a lot of marketing administrative tasks in step 1. But step 4 is more like the big picture marketing plan, the marketing strategy, right? That part you're going to delegate in step 4. And that's hard to do. And then step 5 is leadership. After you've delegated all 4 rungs, then you step into leadership. You're the CEO. You're the managing partner. But it's time to start delegating that. And so maybe you're going to hire a CEO. Maybe you're going to hire a COO, a chief operating officer. You're going to bring in the integrator, right, that we talk about in EOS. And you're going to bring in somebody who's going to really run and optimize your practice. But always, 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 always start with admin. If you don't free yourself from the $20 an hour tasks, you'll never have the capacity to do the $500 an hour work. Why is the executive assistant your first hire? Well, most lawyers think their first hire should be another lawyer or a paralegal, but that just shifts the bottleneck. Your time is too valuable to be spent on scheduling, on follow-ups, and task juggling. A great executive assistant creates time leverage for you. They can help you multiply your time by managing the details that you shouldn't touch. You should get to the office and your executive assistant has already prepared your calendar for the day and you don't even have to think about it. Okay? That's what they should be able to do. They should be able to move things around in your calendar, manage your schedule. Just tell me where to go and what to do, right? You run my life. That's the executive assistant. The executive assistant runs your life. Okay? Arranges your travel, right? Maybe even orders your lunch, right? They are going to run your life. What can a great executive assistant handle? Here's some things: calendar and inbox management, prioritizing emails, filtering client requests, triaging emails, sending emails to the right team member, scheduling consultations without you needing to play email ping pong, okay? Client intake coordination, right? Those initial steps of the client intake process, gathering initial info, scheduling consults, getting the initial paperwork completed, ensuring that no leads are slipping through the cracks. vendor and subscription management, keeping track of software, bar dues, research tools, office expenses, things like that, maybe even paying bills. Routine follow-ups, checking on filings, reminding clients of deadlines, nudging team members on outstanding tasks. A good executive assistant can literally make you feel like you have an extra brain. And that's the idea. Now, the law firm replacement ladder might look a little bit different, perhaps. Maybe there's admin first, and then the next level is paralegal and support staff, associate, rainmaker, managing partner. So you could tweak it a little bit based, depending on what really works for you, but don't tweak it too much. Follow the general, pathway. If you're really small, if you're a solo, your executive assistant might be a paralegal. Your executive assistant might wear two hats initially. They might do executive assistant work and paralegal work at the same time. That might be very helpful. It might be very helpful for them to understand confidentiality and privilege rules a little bit, right? It might be helpful for them to understand ethics, to have a little bit of a legal background. So they could be part executive assistant, part paralegal, and maybe handle some of your intake and scheduling and follow-ups, maybe some simple, drafting of documents and things like that. That could help you, really delegate some of rung 1 and rung 2. But the big idea is that your executive assistant is your proxy. It's the shadow you, right? It's the clone of you, really. That's what you're going for. That's what you're trying to do. And there's a lot of hidden costs. If you're sitting here thinking, do I really need an executive assistant? You do, because there's a big cost in not hiring an executive assistant. The average small firm attorney bills at $300 to $500 an hour. But how many hours are you actually billing? How many hours are being spent on non-billable tasks? I was talking with a law firm owner this week, and she said, I probably only spend an hour a day on admin tasks. I really don't need an executive assistant. Well, let's do the math. An hour a day is 5 hours a week. 5 hours a week is 20 hours a month. So 20 hours a month, you're doing $20 an hour work, right? When you could be doing $500 an hour work. What's the delta there, right? $10,000 you could be billing, and you're not, okay? Do you get the picture? There's a huge amount of lost revenue potential. An executive assistant may only cost you a couple $1,000s a month. The ROI is massive, but you're not really going to see it until you actually see it. So, how do you make this successful for you? Create an executive assistant training plan. Get all your scripts ready, get all your templates ready, get your playbooks ready, right? Before you hire, don't just hire and say, help me. Think strategically through what you want them to help you with and create SOPs for those tasks that you want them to do. That's going to help you. Otherwise, you're going to hire an executive assistant. It's going to be a hot mess, okay? So get some things ready. What to look for in a good executive assistant. You want problem solvers, not order takers. You want communicators. You want people who can take ownership, not just check off tasks, right? And so you're looking for somebody with a skill set that's able to, manage a process, not just, do A, B, and C, right? But manage this whole concept and be proactive. Anticipate my needs before I even need them, okay? That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for someone who can only answer when they're asked. You're not looking for someone who is unorganized or has a poor communication style. You need detail-oriented people and really, really, really good communicators. So here's what I want you to do. This week, you're going to create a stop doing list. And you're going to list out all the things that you want to stop doing. Before hiring, take a week and track everything you do that A, doesn't require your law license, and B, drains your energy. And these are the things that are going to become your executive assistant's first playbook. Okay? Do it this week, my friend. You will thank me. And if you've already hired your executive assistant, maybe it's time to really think about how you can make that person that much more helpful to you and that much more efficient in what they do. If you want to start buying back your time, your first step is to delegate administrative tasks. And the best way to do that is by bringing on your executive assistant. And by the way, we have an executive assistant job description template for law firm owners in the show notes. It's a free download. So go ahead and check it out right now. If you're thinking about this, you don't have an executive assistant yet, you want to hire one, go check it out. We've made that just for you. It's a template that you could follow. So here's my challenge for you. Stop being the executive assistant in your own firm. This week, make your stop doing list. Start getting ready to hand those tasks off. You don't scale by doing more. You scale by letting go. I'm going to say that again. You don't scale by doing more. Such a misconception that we have. You actually scale by doing less, by letting things go. When you start delegating the right way, you're not just freeing up time, you're building the foundation for real growth and long-term wealth. And that's what we do with our clients every day, helping law firm owners build businesses that run smoothly, create freedom, and ultimately will become valuable assets for their financial plan. If you want to take the first step, grab our free executive assistant job description template for law firm owners. It's a plug-and-play tool that can help you. And friend, if you ever want to chat with me about your business and some ideas on how you could make it more effective, more efficient, more profitable, and grow more wealth, I welcome that opportunity. You'll find the link to schedule some time with me in the show notes. I've got just one last question for you, friend, and that is, who is the Lawyer Millionaire? That's you. It's you, my friend. Own it and live it. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Lawyer Millionaire. Click the follow button below to be notified when new episodes become available. This content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. This content is not intended to represent investing or tax advice. Always seek the advice of a qualified investment or tax advisor with any questions you may have regarding your own financial circumstances.